Alright, howdy folks. Welcome to the walkthrough and install guide for the new Tower Telemetry plugin. We're going to try to do this one quick before this BMW race ends. It's got the usual process. You're going to download the zip file and put it somewhere you know how to access. Then you're going to come into SDK, go into the plugin manager, come down to the bottom and click import. You're gonna find that file you just unzipped. That's gonna bring in this Tower Telemetry plugin. As usual, you do not need to touch anything in most of these tabs except for the components, where you're gonna select the Tower Telemetry component and click add to remote control. That will add the remote for you. And this is one of the most straightforward one of these of any of them. It's just a hide, a show, and then this lapse on fuel option, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You hit show and you get the car image, the driver, their position, their number, their last name, their speed, their gap ahead, their tachometer with the RPMs, and then the gear. And it looks like that guy just blinked out. And then there's a fuel gauge, and we can talk a little bit about how that works. And that's pretty much it. So as long as you have space for it, which means you need to have 10 positions in your bottom block, if you shrink that up, it's not quite going to fit. So as long as you leave that, it doesn't matter what you do with the top block, it'll move with it, and it'll always kind of overlap that bottom block in the tower. And then we don't get fuel information from other drivers in iRacing's API, so you can't cheat and things like that. But we can take a guess here. So if you can put in whatever you know to be the fuel window based on the percent fuel and the car that your race is running, and kind of put that in there, and the gauge will adjust. When it gets low enough, it turns red. Otherwise, it's green or yellow. And that's pretty much it. This is a pretty basic one. I will show you a trick for figuring out what the fuel mileage might be. If you open up Garage 61's website and go in, I don't know if you even have to be a member or have an account or anything. It's free to do that. There is a paid version, but I don't have it. But if you go up here to laps and search, sometimes it'll automatically pull in what you're doing in the session. But let's say you're running, a Talladega race with the NASCAR trucks. You can pull that up, and it's going to show you the best laps and everything. And say your league is running a fixed setup. You can scroll down through here and find anyone running the fixed setup. Here it looks like Joseph Thompson is. We're going to click the drop down on the Analyze and View Event. This is going to bring up his whole race. And you can go through and find a good run. This looks like the best run he had here. We're going to click Details. And right here is going to be this average fuel number, 0.57 gallons per lap. That's the average he had on this run. And if you know what the fuel tank capacity is for that car, for a NASCAR truck, it's like 18.5 gallons. I think for a Cup car, it's like 19.5 gallons. Somewhere around there, you can look that up somewhere else. And all you're going to do is divide that out, and that will tell you how many laps per tank you can get. And if your league runs 70%, then multiply it by 0.7 and get that adjustment. And I do this for all my races so that I at least have an idea of what the fuel mileage is going to be. Then all you do is come in here and put it in this box. And whatever you put that in, the gauge will adjust. And that way you can kind of keep track using this telemetry of where someone is in their fuel run without having to do the math in your head and read the timing table. Might have some more components in the future about that. If you leave this blank, like let's say you don't know what it is and you don't want a gauge on screen to confuse your viewers or yourself, if you leave it blank, the gauge disappears. So only if you put in the laps will it show up, and it looks like our race just ended. Perfect timing. And that is how you use the Tower Telemetry. Super easy, super simple. Just something people have been asking for a while, to get that telemetry in the tower, so it's really easy to use on screen. Just a simple hide, show, and fuel. Hope you guys enjoy.